Hi, I'm Judy Litt, and today I have a 25-minute, give or take, restorative yoga practice. And I'd like to tell you what props you might like to use so you can gather that up. So we're trying to go fairly minimal on props today to make this very accessible for most anybody. And I suggest one, maybe two yoga blankets or towels, whatever you have, and a couple of yoga blocks like this. I'm sitting on the other one. If you have a bolster, it absolutely can feel very, very nice, and I suggest using it. I do have a bolster. You can see it just in the corner of the screen there. But I want to show you that you can do restorative yoga without having all the props all the time. Okay, now that you have your props, of course you can always pause the video to get them. I invite you to come into a seated posture that is comfortable for you. And if it's comfortable for you, go ahead and close your eyes. We're just going to take a couple of breaths here, bringing our attention to our breath, beginning to slow down, and breathing in and out through our nose. I will suggest a few intentions for today's practice. You can use whatever intention you would like, and you do not have to have an intention at all. These are just suggestions. So one is to simply de-stress. This is a great, relatively short restorative yoga practice to do before you go to bed, to calm down, to let go of the day, to maybe get rid of a little stiffness or achiness in your body. So that's a great goal. Another is to ground. Maybe you're not using it before you go to bed, or even if you are using it before you go to bed, to get very grounded, to get calm, to calm your mind so that you don't have monkey mind and you're not thinking about what I have to do tomorrow and the things I have to get together. And the last one is this is actually going to be a really nice practice for your digestion. We're going to be doing some forward folds, and that compresses the belly, and that helps with digestion. And we're going to be using the blanket also against our belly. So all those things are good things that can just help move things along a little bit, especially as we do those sorts of things on a regular basis. Okay, let's actually get into the practice, shall we? If you've been seated, go ahead on a block, go ahead and remove your block. Grab a blanket like this. It can be the long way also. And then just roll it up. Now, my intention, as I just mentioned, for you for this practice is to work a little on digestion. If sitting back on your heels like I am doing right now is very, very uncomfortable, you can either take this blanket, put it between your legs, and sit back like that. That can make it much more comfortable for you. Or take a second blanket and do that. You can also even try sitting back on a block. And you can also have your knees wide. For this practice, I want to have my knees facing straight forward. So you're sitting back on your heels and then just bending over, perhaps grabbing a block to let your head rest on. Something like that. So this is child's pose, using a few props. Because I have the blanket between my thighs and my belly, I can't get my head all the way down to the mat as I normally would, and that's why using the block is very helpful. It's also very calming and de-stressing because it helps to stimulate your vagus nerve. And if you'd like, you can also just move your head from side to side briefly, and then come to stillness. Slowing your breaths down, breathing in and out through your nose. And relax your face. And relax your jaw. And let your shoulders be really heavy. And just be. Feeling your shoulder blades and your ribs moving out as you inhale and then coming back together as you exhale. Last couple of breaths. Last breath here. And go ahead and take the palms of your hands to the mat. Push into those palms to raise your torso. Go ahead and set the blanket off to the side. We are going to be using this for our next pose. If you have a bolster, I actually really suggest a bolster for the next one. It will make things much simpler, but there is always a way to find a way to prop yourself up, I think. So you're going to take your blocks and you're going to put one in front of your knees and one about 2/3 up your mat. And we're going to take our blanket, make it a rectangle. I'm going to leave it just folded once. And then we're going to put that blanket over the blocks to soften them a little. These are cork blocks. And I'm going to take belly to one block and then the head to the other, and you may need to adjust it like I am. And voila. And then take your left leg, bend it so that the knee is pointing straight out to the side, and do anything you need to do to make the torso feel more comfortable. Your thigh is parallel to the short end of the mat, and your calf is parallel to the long end of your mat. And this is supported frog pose. And your left foot is flexed, not really trying to grip, but not having it flopping and pointing. Just flex to help to protect your knee. This might also feel better. In fact, I'm going to try it. I actually did not practice this practice right before showing it to you. It may feel nicer to you if you're using blocks to make a bolster-like thing, to take your blocks on the lowest level. And that might just be a little bit more comfortable. You can also take a blanket and you can pad your knee. And that I do suggest if you have a second blanket.
If you have foam blocks, having them on the shortest level will probably be very comfortable. Foam is a bit more forgiving than cork. Cork is a little stronger. It can hold things up better. But foam will absolutely work for this pose. And let your shoulders soften. Make sure you're not pinching between your shoulder blades. Now you could absolutely do this pose without any props at all, just laying on your mat. And doing it with some props, again, helps us get a little bit more into our digestive organs. And go ahead and hook forward. Take your left leg straight out behind you. And go ahead and bend your right leg, making sure to flex that ankle. Second side. And this is supported fish. I mean, I'm having a rough couple of weeks here. This is supported half frog. I have supported fish on the mind at the moment. Okay, I'm not going to lie. If you choose to do this without a bolster, I suggest you grab yourself a couple of yoga blankets, a bunch of towels. This will absolutely work without the bolster, but I'm going to tell you right now, just using one yoga blanket, it's not really particularly comfortable for me. And the whole point of restorative yoga is to be so comfortable you can completely relax. So I have more yoga blankets. I kind of wish I had grabbed them, but I didn't, and that's the way the cookie crumbles, as I say. Okay, go ahead and look forward and take your right leg straight out behind you. Palms come underneath your shoulders, and then just push yourself up. Go ahead and grab your blanket. We are going to use it for our last pose. You do not necessarily need blocks for your last pose. You might want to sit up on a block, and I will tell you why in just a minute. I am not going to today. I'm going to put my block over here. But we're going to take our legs out to the side, and then, straight out in front of us. And I'm going to straighten that out a little bit. And we're going to grab our rolled up blanket once again and put it against our stomach. And we're going to start sitting up pretty straight. Toes are pointing towards the sky. And before you do anything, take a deep breath in, grow a little longer. And as you exhale, begin to let your head fall forward. You may also have your knees bent a lot, and this is where you could be sitting on a block. It may make it better for your hips, or rather hamstrings, really. If you have very tight hamstrings, sitting up on a block could be very helpful. So you really want to let your head fall forward. As if you're getting your hair shampooed and somebody is pouring water over it. And boy, that makes me want to have somebody shampoo my hair right now. Because that's just the best feeling, isn't it? And I'm trying to, even though one of our principles in restorative yoga, just like yin yoga, is to come to stillness, I'm trying to get the blanket as close to me as I can. Again, we are both working on relaxing, de-stressing, and our digestion at the same time. And this is caterpillar pose. So all my practices in February, and they are all about loving you. February might be the month of love, but that doesn't mean it has to be romantic love. And in fact, if you don't love yourself, you're always going to struggle with romantic love. People are attracted to people who are comfortable in their own skin, no matter what that skin may look like. Know that you are worthy of love. Know that you were put on this earth for a reason. And go ahead and take your palms to the mat if they're not already there. Gently push into your palms to raise yourself up. If you'd like to, I really encourage you to lay back on the mat, fully back on the mat, and take a short shavasana. If not, if you don't have the time right now, come to an easy seated position. And I invite you to close down your eyes if that is comfortable for you. We're just going to take a few moments in stillness before you move on with your day as I read a little bit of a poem. I will link the book that I am reading from up in the description box below. It is called Postures, Prayers, and Poems by Joseph Loricella. At least I hope that's how it's pronounced. And I'm just reading just a tiny bit of one of the poems. The poem is entitled, You Are Yoga. And it's so, so true. You are the yoga. Don't worry about doing it the perfect way. You are the way. Breathe more. Feel more. Healing is on the way. Keep your eyes closed if you have them closed, or mostly shut if it's uncomfortable for you to completely shut your eyes. And let's just take 3 really deep breaths in through our nose and then letting it out through our mouth. So inhale deeply through your nose. And then say, ah. Feel your shoulders relax. 2 more. Deep inhale through the nose and then let it go. Last one. Deepest breath yet, in through the nose. Feel your spine grow longer and then let it all out. Inhale, bring the palms of your hands together in front of your heart. Slowly bow a little bit over your hands. Now, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this practice. If you did, go ahead and click the like button. Thank yourself for showing up, for giving yourself time for self-love and self-care. Go ahead and slowly blink your eyes open, take in your mat, slowly raise your head, maybe put a smile on your face. Have a wonderful night's sleep if that is your next destination. Or go back into your day feeling much more calm. Sending you so much love. Thank you for joining me.